This is PBS.
About Your House with Bob Yap was partially underwritten by the National Trust for Historic Preservation.
In past places and future spaces, from main streets to back roads, we're helping Americans bring preservation home. The National Trust for Historic Preservation.
Program. It's about your contractor. Now, everywhere I go around the country, regardless of whether it's Cape Cod, where I am today, the Midwest, Chicago, or even Seattle, the one frustration that just keeps coming through is how do I find, hire, and work with a contractor? Now, it's not always going to be a painless process, but I think this program today is going to give you some ways to make it less painful, for sure. And starting with the concept of the thingamajig. The whatchamacallit, as I say. What that means is there's a lot of contractor-ese going on out there, terms that contractors use and stuff, and we're going to try to demystify some of that for you. Okay, what I'm asking you to get, again, is the 65,000s Weed Whacker cartridge with the string, you know.
I know what I'm doing. I'm the lawn woman, like you'd know what a weed whacker is.
Well, that's true, you are a farmer, Pat, but you make me insane constantly with this whatchamacallit thingamajig. You can't ever...
know what I'm talking about. And anyway, I passed that test before we got married about tool identification.
Well, you missed a couple, so just be specific with this guy, okay? All right. What is that thing called? Oh, I can't think of the name of it. Maybe it's up here. I don't... Oh, Gene!
Morning, Bob. How can we help you?
Listen, I got a problem. You know, the arm on my miter box has got this whatchamacallit thing, kind of a thingamajig that hooks it in down here, and I don't know what...
Honey, it's called a cotter pin.
Uh-huh. We got it.
All right, you caught me. There's no question about it. I can't believe... Are you happy?
Yeah, stop. Oh, your feet are wet, honey.
Well, I'll just stand on the carpet for a second.
Okay.
I won't hurt anything. Well, that totally mortifying experience at the hardware store
was fun.
was to demonstrate that there are a lot of big words in the construction business and some that I don't even remember.
Well, and they're different terms than we use every day.
That's absolutely right. It's called contractor-ese. You've heard of lawyer-ese, all those kinds of things, contractor-ese. Now here's a list of some of the biggest words that are important to your project and a real simple explanation of what they mean, as well as a couple of books you can get at the library. Well, ma'am, you know, the rock in your bathroom is completely shot. Well, that was my dorky twin brother, Rocky. I tried to get him to quit wearing those plaid shirts and those stupid glasses in 6th grade, but he never listened to me. He said the word rock, it's drywall. If you really want us to open up that wall, we're going to have to install a really big header. I'm telling my mom, he's not describing anything right. A header is a beam that's manufactured on the job site by the carpenter. It's a piece of 2x on each side and a piece of 1/2-inch plywood. It carries the weight of the floor and the walls above. Well, and of course, if we're going to put in a header, we're going to have cripples. Well, I'll tell you what, a cripple's what holds this big header up we just looked at. When you cut a hole in the wall, you got to have a header to hold the weight, but it takes the weight and transfers it onto these cripples, which hold the header up. Okay, we can refinish the basement, turn it into a rec room, but we're going to have to use furring strips with tap cons. Well, a furring strip is nothing more than a 1x2 piece of pine that's put up to put paneling or drywall on in a basement, and a tap con is nothing more than a special masonry screw that's designed to screw right into the block. Well, and your exterior is a whole nother set of problems. I mean, the fascia and the soffit on your house is completely rotted. Well, the fascia is basically the face of your eave. And that's what this is right here. The roof comes down here, the gutter's attached to the face or fascia. The underneath part of your eave, right here, is called the soffit. Well, I'll tell you, I got a serious problem with those muttons. Well, a mutton is simply the molded piece of wood you see right here that divides the panes of glass in a window sash. And the corbels on your house, well, they're completely shot. Well, a corbel is a structural bracket, and that's what this is. Goes up underneath an eave and helps hold the eave up. Libraries and bookstores have lots of different books that can demystify all this terminology for you. I like the Old House Dictionary, and it's written by Stephen J. Phillips, published by John Wiley & Sons, about $13. Another good book that has a lot of basics on carpentry as well as a dictionary is Modern Carpentry by Willis Wagner. Now, it's published by Goodhart and Wilcox, and it costs about $40, but it's worth it. Okay, so when a carpenter uses or a contractor uses a big word, what do?
Well, I want to know exactly what I'm buying, and so I'll make them like draw it out or whatever. I don't want to have, you know, be getting a thingamajig that I thought I was getting, and then it's a different thingamajig that they're installing.
If you're spending a lot of money with these contractors...
Or even a little bit.
Well, yeah, but even a lot or a little, it doesn't make any difference. You're spending money with them. If they use a big word, stop them, make them draw you a picture, or explain what they're talking about. These subs are driving me nuts. It's stressful. A couple of antacids, and I'll be in good shape here, I think. What? Oh. Yeah.
Finish the framing upstairs.
You finish the framing upstairs, okay, and?
What kind of drywall you want to use?
Oh, let's use 5/8 inch thick and 12-foot lengths. I don't want a bunch of seams up there, okay? Now go talk to Phil and he'll get it ordered for you, all right? So, that's not a problem.
No problem.
This is Bob.
Bob.
Yeah, listen, I need, what?
I've really got to talk
Just a minute. Oh, just a sec, hang on a second. I need that framing by tomorrow because if it isn't over here, I'm gonna have problems. I won't be able to drywall tomorrow. I really need it. Can you help me out, please? You will? All right, I'll see you at 10, thanks. Okay, Randy, what is it?
We're out of denatured alcohol.
Okay.
I can't finish the woodwork without it.
Okay, so you need some denatured alcohol. Talk to Phil, and he'll get you some. Okay? Thanks, Randy. Phil!
Delivery truck's here.
Oh, great. Oh, jeez. Hey, I'll be right there.
All right.
Hello? Run! All right. Listen, I need those electrical outlets tomorrow. Can you help me out on this? Well, you promised those outlets would be in. I can't put the drywall on until all the outlets are up. You will? Okay, great, thanks.
Order's in. Everything's
Everything's on the truck?
Yep.
Got a pen? Thank you. All right. Listen, I got to go check on these guys with the concrete. All right? Oh, jeez.
All right, thanks. There you go.
Isn't that an amazing amount of work that a general contractor has to do, coordinating all the subs and making sure that delivery trucks come on time? All that stuff is part of it. It's a lot of work. It makes me sweat thinking about it, and I do this every day. But there's something else. You have to pay your subs. Oh, Phil.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
All right. Were your ears burning up?
You must have been talking about paying checks.
Yes, we were paying subs, and they like to get paid when the work's done, isn't that right?
Yeah, yes,
no
we do.
doubt, no doubt. Now, let's take a look at your contract. I went over and looked at the work, and it really looks nice. He's refinishing some woodwork for us. It says here that you get 1/3 of the money when 1/3 of the work is done.
Right.
And I see that well over 1/3 of the work is done.
It's going real well.
Yeah, it really is. You got a statement for me?
Yes, I do.
All right. Make sure you have a statement. It's part of your documentation that you paid out the sub. It's all exactly like we agreed to. And I've made out this nice little check here. You like that?
A nice one.
Okay, well, sign this first. That's a lien waiver. And that is a document that says that you paid the subcontractor. So if you ever file a lien on your house, you'd have documentation that you paid it. We'll talk more about that in a minute. You want this check?
Yeah, you want this? Thanks.
All right. You can be your own general contractor. It's really a lot of work. It's doable. Just consider the divorce and never seeing your kids and maybe having to quit your job. No, I'm kidding. But it is a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a daily routine that you have to stick to.
And that's not just the work that you're doing for me. It's also all the paperwork and everything.
Office work, right.
Right. And you're the sub. Mm-hmm. So as a general, it's even more. Hey, be your own general contractor if you want to, but consider all the work involved. Same to you, buddy. Man, I've been looking through the yellow pages in the newspaper for 2 weeks trying to find somebody to come out and give me a bid to do a little bit of carpentry work. And, geez, these guys don't even hardly show up. Wait a minute. What is that noise? What is that? Whoa. Can I help you, sir?
Oh, yeah, you called me out of the paper.
I called you out of the paper.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe I called you out of the paper.
Yeah, there's some great stuff here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. You look like a great guy and everything.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can't use you. I appreciate you.
No, we can do great work here, I'm telling you.
I'll bet you just do special work, and I'm really excited for you, but I don't think I can use you. Hey, I'm really sorry. Actually, this is Peter Soderbergh. He's an actor, and I had to hire an actor because I couldn't get a slimeball contractor to actually come by and do this scene. You did a great job.
Hey, thanks.
I'll tell you what. Thing not to do is to call somebody out of the newspaper. Absolutely not. It's the worst thing you can do, calling out of the yellow pages. I mean, you can do it, but you're not going to get somebody that you have any clue about what they're doing. So you need to talk to neighbors and stuff like that. In fact, I'm going to go talk to one of my neighbors right now and see if he knows a good contract.
Okay.
Thanks, Peter.
Have fun.
Well, obviously, that's not the kind of contractor I want working on my house or your house. And it's not the way to find a contractor. Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
The way to find a contractor is to talk to friends, neighbors, and family. Bottom line, that is your very best way on referrals. They're going to have worked with these people, and they're not going to recommend somebody to you that's no good. That's a fact. So I'm going to talk to my neighbor up here. Dan, you got a second?
Hi, Bob. How you doing?
Great. How you doing?
Good.
What are you guys working on up there?
We're working on getting some trim put on the bottom of the house here. Get this detailed out. Get some of these loose ends tightened up.
So this is your contractor?
Yeah, it's Frank.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is his rig?
Yeah, it's a pretty nice outfit, huh?
It's incredible. You should have seen the truck that just pulled up in front of my house. It was pretty...
It wasn't like this, I take it.
No, it wasn't quite like that. So you've worked with this guy?
Yeah, a buddy of mine got me started with him a couple years ago, and we've used him on different projects, and it just works out real well. Master carpenter.
Good follow through and everything?
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know, and that's what you need to know. Talk to your friends, family, and neighbors about referrals for contractors. It's your best shot every time. All right, now you've had all the referrals from your friends, neighbors, and family, and you have this list of contractors. Now your job is to check them out very thoroughly. Now you can go to the different organizations, the builders, the remodeling organizations. Go to your local building code people. They know a little bit about it. Check out to make sure they have all the bonds and the insurance and the licenses and stuff like that. But there's something else you have to do. You have to interview the contractors. Now, I'm going to tell you something that's probably going to blow your mind. I think the 3-bid rule, you know that rule where you get 3 bids for everything so you're not getting ripped off, is totally bogus. Now, you're not a government agency. That's where this all started, really, with government agencies. 3 bids is a democratic way to go. But in reality, all it's doing is hurting you. You're not a democratic process. This is your house. This is where you're going to spend a bunch of money. You want to make sure you're getting the best job for the money. And the 3-bid rule will not get you to that point. Now, I have a friend of mine, Bill Rowand. He's a general contractor, does a lot of renovation work. I asked him to stop by. Welcome to my playhouse in the woods, Bill.
Looks nice.
This is where Pat sends me when I've been bad.
Well, she said you were probably asleep, so.
The reason I asked Bill to come in is because he's a contractor that does a lot of renovation work, does a lot of work for me, and I just wanted to chat with him for a couple of minutes about some of the things that you know about this 3-bid rule that have driven you nuts as a contractor. Now, about a year ago, you told me that you had gone out and bid a job, fairly substantial job, and tell me about that experience real quick.
Well, I was called by a client to come out to bid a room addition, and that's exactly what I did, except I pretty much designed the room addition for her.
You wrote all the specs and the drawings and all that stuff.
Yes, you know, I probably spent 2 or 3 times going out there and looking and talking to her and bringing material and things like that. And so that after we pretty much finalized everything, I submitted my bid.
Right.
And then I really didn't hear anything from her for a couple weeks, so I called her up and wanted to know what the status was on it. And come to find out, she had 2 other contractors bid on the project.
3-bid rule.
3-bid rule, and I was not the one that she chose. Basically, it was a money situation. And
so the bid they took came in lower than yours, substantially lower.
Yes, quite a bit. And
part of the reason is because you did all the work for her, and they didn't have to do that up.
Yeah, well, that partly too. But I mean, the thing of it was is that when I asked her about it, she said that I was considerably higher, and I said, well, okay, that's fine. But I said, there's one thing about it, you know, that to make sure that whoever you end up picking is bidding apples to apples. In other words,
Okay, apples to apples. Well, let's
Exactly.
talk about that for a second. For instance, if you have a wood screen door that you're speccing out, one contractor might have a custom-made one that's high quality, that'll last a long time. The other one might go get a cheap one from a lumberyard. So you're not apples to apples, you're apples to like watermelons.
well,
I mean,
exactly.
that's
I mean, you know, particularly when you're dealing in older houses and things like that. I mean, you know, some people have had a little more experience than others, and they see things that, you know, that they may possibly may have a problem with,
Right.
and they'll bid the job accordingly, and other ones won't. And
What's really important, I think, and I did this with Bill when we first met, is I checked him all out on the background information, which we talked about, and then I interviewed Bill because I knew that I was going to have to essentially live with Bill for anywhere from 3 months to a year, depending on the project. And I had to like this guy, not only know that he was competent and that he was a good communicator, because remember, there is no such thing as no problems in a renovation project. It's how you handle them that matters, good communication. And you communicate with your clients a lot.
well, that's very important. That's probably about as important an aspect of the project as anything is communication, because, you know, you're going to have different stages of that project that you're going to have good times and bad times. And if you can anticipate that and make the client aware that, yes, you're going to get tired of having the mess and having my guys around and things like that, you know, if you can communicate that and anticipate that, it's going to make a better project down the road.
Right.
And
Do you like to do bids now that when they're competitive and 3-bid?
no.
Okay.
You know, I really don't. I mean, because I'd like to have people hire me because of the fact that they like me.
Checked you out.
And checked me out and have seen some of the past work that I've done, and is willing to tell me what they're willing to spend.
Right. See, that's the other issue. You need to sit down. Everybody holds their cards so tight to their chest in this process that there's a lot of mistrust that happens. What you need to do, if you're not being lazy, what you need to do is check your contractor out, get all the information about how well they did with the other clients they had, and the payouts, and the being on time, and the communication, and then also be absolutely sure that you can live with that person for a while and use that contractor. And you can go to the bookstore and buy one of these national bid books like this, so you can get a basic idea of what the job should cost anyway before you even work with a contractor. But tell them what your budget is. A lot of times people are paranoid to do that. If you do that, you'll be able to work together and make sure, instead of having to come back after the 3-bid rule and say, well, your bid was in there, but can we cheapen this up or do this and that? You're doing that beforehand so that when you start the job, everybody knows exactly what's going on. So interview a good contractor, find the one you want, and then sit down with them, reveal your budget, and work out the project so that you get what you want for the money you're spending. Wow, there's a lot of paperwork involved in renovating a house, but it's really important. I get sick of it, to be quite frank with you, but it's important because it protects you. It protects the contractor, but it really protects you. Now, all this starts, of course, you found a good contractor, good reputation, referrals, they're licensed, bonded, all that good stuff. And they'll come out to the house and go through it with you, you know, top to bottom, and get everything onto a one-page proposal. That's generally what you see. Now, a one-page proposal is standard. It has the full price, maybe the payout schedule, and an overview of what's going to be done, but it's not enough. It is just not enough. You need a renovation or restoration specs, or what I call a work write-up. Now, this is really important, okay? This is like 7 pages long, very detailed. It goes into all, like repair west porch, repair roof, da-da-da-da-da. It goes into all the details. It has labor and materials. Now, the contractor's going to get a little bit of a markup on their materials, and that's okay because we live in America and we're a free enterprise system. It'll give you all the labor costs and your total. Go through it with them top to bottom because it lines out what you expect of them and kind of what they expect of you as well, plus the total price. Now, attached to that will also be drawings, floor plans, and those types of things, and that's very important because it gives you a picture as well as all the written documents. Now, you might think that you stop there, but you don't. There's one thing I want you to remember is a lot of contractors won't ask you for a down payment. But small, reputable contractors don't have the kind of cash flow some of the bigger guys have, and they may ask for a small down payment up front to help cover some materials. If they have a good reputation and other people have had a good experience doing that with them, I really don't have a problem with that because it helps them cash flow things. Just make sure the materials get to the job site. Now, it doesn't stop there. Once you've got everything worked out, you put it into a construction contract. Now, your attorney can help you work this out. This particular one is one that my attorney and I put together. Have your attorney help you put one together, and some stationery stores will sell these types of things as well. It's very important. It gives all the different things like penalties, when you expect the work to be done, and all that. The one-page proposal isn't enough for a contract at all. Now, sometimes you have small jobs and you have somebody come over. It's just going to do it for labor, and they'll bill you by the hour. The IRS wants you to have an independent contractor agreement, and you need to have one of these because it states they'll pay their own taxes, they're their own separate company, and that they have their own insurance and all that kind of thing. It's very important for your documentation to cover your rear end. Now, during the renovation project, of course, there are going to be changes. There are always changes. Now, a change order is what we use. Put it in writing. If the contractor needs to change something and add to the price, or maybe take off from the price, or you want to add something to the contract, put it in writing. That's very important. Now, the last thing in this process is what we call a lien waiver. This is really important because when the contractor comes to get his check for his first payout or final payouts or what have you, he needs to sign this document. That covers you. Now, lien laws across the country vary, but a contractor, even if he's been paid, if he's unscrupulous, can go out and file a lien against your property. So when you try to sell the house, you have to pay off the lien before you can. That is not what you want. If you have him sign a lien waiver, you have proof that you paid him for all the work, and that's very, very critical. Just make sure you have a lawyer and you put everything in writing, and your renovation project will be fun. It won't be a big bummer. Hey, Patty.
Bob, I hate it when you do this.
What?
I've told you it many times, don't make the house a construction trailer.
Gee, sorry, honey. Why don't you sit down for a second?
Yeah, well, sit down. Bob, this is like too much.
Well, I have all these specs and all this stuff to do.
I know, but
you
it's years already. And then last week, some jerk walked in here. He had mud all over his boots like he never had a mother.
Well, it is getting kind of bad, isn't it?
It's getting terrible.
The point of all this is that it's really stressful. She is kind of mad at me, actually, to do renovation projects, but especially if you're living in it at the same time. Now, there's some simple things you can do and just keep in mind.
Yeah, like not marry somebody who's into renovation.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Well, there are some other things that you can do, too. First of all, make a space for yourself without construction debris.
Yeah, a clean area where you can live.
Yeah, like a kitchen and a living room that is separate, you know.
Good.
And then the other thing you can do, most people, particularly if they're doing their own homes, you know, they do it like 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Well, don't do that. Take a break. Take your kids out
space.
for a
Put some
ride, go to the
time
movies.
aside to do it.
That
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
right.
And the other thing, I think, particularly if you have a small project, like if you're doing a kitchen or a bathroom, get the kids out of the house, send them to their grandma's or to camp or something. Well, because there's just more people to worry about. Plus, you know, lead paint and all that
All
sort
the
of stuff.
dust and stuff.
It's
Yeah.
not a bad idea to do
makes
that
sense.
anyway.
That makes
And if the dogs have a place to go, if you have a favorite aunt, you know, who will take them, send them there too.
Yeah, that makes some sense. I really like your comments.
And then other communities, you know, they've had counseling programs in some communities for people in renovation.
There ought
So-
to be. It's a high divorce rate, let me tell you.
So that's the thing that you can think of if you really, you know, have nothing else better to do it in your own community.
Makes some sense. So keep some of those things in mind. And Pat, I promise I'm going to move my office out of the house. I'll go like rent a new office, okay?
Thank you, honey.
You're welcome. Well, finding and working with a contractor doesn't have to be a complete nightmare. It will be like a marriage, though. You're going to be spending a lot of time together. And I think we've given you enough information today to hopefully make it a little bit less painful for you. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate it. Until next time, I'm Bob Yap about your house. This is Bob Yap. Oh, you're kidding. I can't believe it. Fire him.
About Your House with Bob Yap was partially underwritten by the National Trust for Historic Preservation.
In past places and future spaces, from main streets to back roads, we're helping Americans bring preservation home. The National Trust for Historic Preservation.